everybody. Welcome back to our kitchen at Amici's. Today is our fifth but most fun time that we're going to be meeting to cook together. Today we are going to be taking all of these tools and not using them, but we're going to be using these tools instead. That's right, today we are going to be making fresh homemade pasta. And what better way to make it than with our own two hands. So I went ahead and I put the recipe up online. It's very simple. It's 4 basic ingredients: flour, eggs, salt, and oil. Almost everybody has this in their pantry. So if you thought fresh pasta was going to be a big thing to do, it's really not. The worst thing that's going to happen is we're going to get a little bit dirty today, but that's the fun part of it. All right, so like I said, we're going to be using these tools, so I'm going to roll up my sleeves. And I've already started with clean hands, and I've taken my jewels off because I don't want to get them all full of flour and dough. And I'm going to start by making the dough. Now we're going to do it like the old nonis used to do it down in the basement. We're going to actually do it by hand. But if you're not comfortable that way, you can use your KitchenAid. Just make sure that you would put this attachment on it. This is the dough hook. So if you put all your ingredients in the bowl and attach this, you put on kind of a medium-low speed, and it would slowly form a ball in there for you. Now, we're actually going to do it the old way. This is actually the only way I know how. Okay, so the recipe calls for 2 cups of flour, and I put all-purpose flour, AP on the bag, which basically just means you could use it for cooking or baking. You can also use a 00, and that's right, I'm putting it right here on the table. This hardly has any dishes to it for cleanup, which is nice. Okay, so we're going to get our 2 cups of flour here, and I want to make sure that it's nice and level because, you know, we're cooking here, so we don't want to put too much flour. Make it level. Okay, and we're going to put it just like that. Now we can go ahead and we can put in, it says a pinch of salt, so basically it's just like maybe your 3 fingers full and a dash more. You don't want your dough too salty because you can't take that away. Once you put too much of something in any ingredient, it's very difficult to change the flavor. Okay, and then in another bowl here it says 8 eggs, but we're only going to do 6 yolks of one. So it's 2 whole eggs and 6 yolks. So we're going to go ahead and do the 2 whole eggs here. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead. The easiest way to do eggs that I find is we're going to put them all in a bowl together, all of them here. Now, it should be a pretty large egg, and if it's not, your dough is going to be a little bit tough. So if you have medium eggs like this, you probably should add another one. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The recipe calls for 8, but I added an extra because these are not very big eggs today. If you have large ones, just use 8. Okay, so this we're using, remember what we said, we need 2. And then the easiest way to get these out is just to take your fingers and lift it out. And put it in here. And then later on, if you wanted to save the yolks for something else, or the whites for something else, like an omelet, or to glaze something that you're baking, or even to bread something, you can use these for breading. That would be great as well. We're going to get that one in there. And then we're going to try to scoop this one out. We may not be able to use all this one. He's kind of broken, so we have 8.5. So if I happen to need another yolk, we can definitely get that out. Okay, so now I'm going to scramble these up a little bit. And fresh pasta has a lot of egg base to it, which makes it nice and rich. There are different flours that you could use besides this AP flour. This is the easiest to find in the stores, of course. But there's 00 flour, which is very silky. It's fine very through a strainer a few times, so it's fine. And the dough comes out very soft, almost buttery. And then in Italy, they actually use semolina. So this is olive oil here, and I like to use a classic mild one because I don't want to change the flavor of the pasta. And I'm just going to put in a tablespoon of olive oil to start. Depending again how everything mixes up, I may have to add up and adding a little bit more, and that's fine. Okay, so now to get started, we need to make a little well in this. And you should actually make it bigger than what you think you need, because we're gonna make like a little fort here, just like that. And you got it, we're going to pour the egg mixture in there. And we don't have to do it all at one time. We can do it slow, make sure. Don't be intimidated by this now. It's just an egg and flour. We got the boss over this. Alrighty. Okay, so now it should look like this. And what you want to start to do is you want to start to bring in the flour. This is probably going to be the hardest part of this whole thing, is incorporating the flour into this. When my kids were little, we used to clear off the counter, and we used to do this on Sundays, and it would actually take a very long time because we would make a lot. And of course it was messy, but they're kids, so that's what you have to expect. But it's great memories that we have. I'm gonna start twirling it around. I have to be careful because I have a plastic tablecloth on here and I don't want that in my, if you're doing it on a cutting board or a counter, all of that is fine. So we're gonna start moving the sides in now. Try to get more of that flour into there. It should start to get thicker. You should probably start to feel it. And don't worry if you get a breach in any of these sides of the flour, because we're just taking our time right now and trying to incorporate everything like I just got. But we're actually just gonna end up mixing everything all together anyway. So it definitely happens. That's why I said, make sure you have clean hands. Yeah, don't be scared, don't be intimidated. Just keep swirling around and it's going to make a ball. Eventually you're gonna have to get all your hands dirty. This is the hardest part, like I said. But I got so many requests to make fresh pasta, and at first I was like, oh my gosh, I don't think I wanna do this because it's just gonna be so messy. But you know what? Everyone's quarantined, everyone's stuck inside. So you know what? Let's just take an afternoon and make some fresh pasta. And you know what? You're gonna love that you are doing this, and you're gonna say to yourself, I never knew fresh pasta tasted so good. Yeah, the ones out of the box are good. You have your Barilla and Ronzoni and all that. I'm gonna start using my hands now to form a better ball because I have better control over it. And you see how it's starting to come together. I promise you this is going to be a dough ball. See that? It's already coming together and it's very, very soft. I mean, it feels so good already. If you guys have any questions, you could type it on the screen and Abby can let me know, and hopefully I can answer them for you. I don't know everything, I learn as I go along, but this I have made quite a lot. I'm getting it off my fingers here because I might be getting more on my fingers than I am in the bowl. Now, can you imagine your kids doing this? It's better than Play-Doh. See, I've got a ball. This is where you should be with it. It's a sticky ball, but it's a ball. So if that happens, if you find that it's too sticky for you, just add a little flour on. I'm sure most of you have made a pie by now. Hey, Rhett. Is he gonna make some pasta? Okay, so I have a perfectly nice ball of pasta here, and look how nice and soft it is. And you're gonna say, well, how can you make pasta out of that? It's not even firm yet. Well, this is where we're gonna separate a tiny bit now. And this is actually going to have to sit for a little bit of time. And I apologize if any of you thought that we could just start digging in and making pasta at this time, but unfortunately, this needs time to sit because you need time to rest the dough. All the glutens will come out of it, and it's gonna be nice and soft, like springy like this. This should be the consistency of the dough. It's soft, yet you can shape it. Alrighty, so you would just take this, if you don't want so much in it, you could take a pastry cutter that I have back here, or a knife, or anything that you have handy. Just, separate your dough, and then just, bring them down into smaller balls like that, and then you just wrap it in plastic wrap and put it in the refrigerator for about 20 minutes, and it'll be ready to go. So, lucky for you guys, yesterday afternoon, I actually made the dough. And I have some here, and Abby's gonna come back here, and we're actually going to put it into a pasta maker. Now, if any of you are really lucky, we have the KitchenAid mixer now has an attachment to it that sort of looks like this, but it would have the sprocket here where you could put it into the front of your KitchenAid, turn your KitchenAid on, and it'll do the work for you. But we're gonna kick it back old school today. So we've already done the dough by hand. Now we're gonna make the pasta by hand. And if you don't have one of these, it's fine. Maybe most of you don't. It's not like everyone just says, oh, I've got a pasta maker in the closet. I happen to have a few of them because we're big pasta makers. It's very simple. It bolts to the table. The handle comes in and out. You just put it in and starts to turn. If you do not have this today and you want to roll out your pasta, you can always use the rolling pin. Flour the surface just like a pie. Roll it out, keep it going, and it'll be fine. So I wanted to show you a couple other things that you could do with this dough. This is actually a gnocchi maker. If you make homemade gnocchi like this, you could, you roll them with your hands like this, you cut them, and then you just put them down the board, and they make beautiful little gnocchi. But this is a ravioli cutter, and what we would do with this, you get your dough out square, put your cheese in it or whatever you want to fill it in, beef, chicken, crab, anything. Ravioli can be filled with anything. Nutella, you would just put it down and then just push down, and it would make a beautiful ravioli. We actually made them last night at the restaurant because we were trying out this dough. Okay, so if you saw my Facebook today, you saw me holding this dough up because I actually made it yesterday because I wanted to make sure that when I was showing you, it was going to turn out right. I mean, can you give me that flour down there? I'm sorry, honey. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to just put a little bit of flour on this, on the board, and I am going to start it off with my rolling pin just to make it thin enough to go into this machine, and you're going to love this. I don't know how many of you have actually used a pasta maker, but it's a lot of fun. So my dough is rolling out. I had it in the refrigerator overnight, but I took it out probably about an hour ago. So it's nice and soft enough to go through this. Okay, so this is very thick. This would make a horrible pasta if we tried to eat it. So what we're gonna do is, on the side of the pasta maker, it has numbers from 1 to 7, 7 being the thickest. So you wanna bring this all the way to 7 so that your dough can fit in there without getting all crunched up. And I'm just gonna work this a little bit thinner. I remember my mom's rolling pin, it had the handles on the side. She worked it so much that the handles got loose. So when I got her one of these one day, she couldn't believe it. She wished she had had this when we were little. She could have spanked us with it. Okay, so we're putting this in the slot and we're going to put it, we're going to put it through. Sometimes you need 2 people for this because this pasta can get very long. And see it coming out here already? It's getting thinner. Abby's done this plenty of times. It just goes as fast as you want it to. Okay, see how long that got already from that one little thing I did? We're gonna do it again. It'll catch. It catches pretty easy. You know, you don't want to submerge this in water. You just want to wash it in the sink or with a sponge.
Jennifer Love misses your ravioli.
Hey, Jen, how are you? Hugs to the family. Okay, so this was level number 7. Look how long this is already. And no, we're not going to make long spaghetti like that. We're going to, at this point, we're just going to keep bringing it down one. I am going to cut it though, because this is going to make a lot of pasta.
What number are we at?
We are on number 6. You don't have to go down one by one. It just depends how pliable your dough is and how quick you can get it to be thin. Going down another. It's really easy, guys. And it is a lot of fun for kids. They love it. It brings them back to their old Play-Doh days. And my kids we used to laugh at my Nana. We used to say she had stock in Play-Doh because every time she came to the house, she brought more. And every time she left, I had to get the vacuum out. But that's what Nanas are for. And making pasta. Look how nice and thin this got already. This is getting bigger. All this is going to make nice pasta. But the old secret to pasta is if you can read a love letter through it, then it's ready. And at this point, I can't really see my fingernails yet, so we're gonna go through a little bit more. We're getting down to number 3 here. Might have to cut him off. And it doesn't have to be perfect, guys. Your pasta, this is rustic. This is homemade, this is yours. This isn't, you know, Ronzoni from the box. So it's not gonna be perfect, but it's going to be the best pasta you've ever had. Okay, so look how long this is. And again now, I gotta cut it. And this makes a lot of pasta, this recipe. Now I wanted to show you right here, if you were to wanted to make ravioli, now would be the time. Because you don't want ravioli too thin because it breaks and then the insides come out while it's cooking. So now would be the time, and you would basically just say you had ricotta cheese, you could just put ricotta cheese all here, and then you would stop here, fold it over like this, and then just punch it down. And when it's done, you have a perfectly beautiful, fluffy ravioli. We made them last night, I told you that. Okay, so I'm going to make fettuccine with this. I wanted to show you the fettuccine that I made last night. So this is it. This is fresh pasta. I just kept it overnight in this aluminum pan. This is actually the same exact recipe. So this is only a small portion that I had left over, so it does make a lot, like I said. So that's the fettuccine, and then I'm going to keep going. So if you wanted to make pappardelle, everybody loves pappardelle. It is the most requested. It's either thin angel hair or thick pappardelle. Now would be the time for this also. So you would fold it like a letter almost. Fold it in half, and then fold it in half again. And then you would fold it, and then fold it. So then you would just take a knife, as thick as you want, but this is normally an inch, is normally the size of a regular pappardelle. And excuse my nails, guys, because I'm like the rest of the world and I can't get them done. I've had my nails done. Me and my sister used to go when our kids were little, and I haven't had them done. There you go. This is how you make pappardelle. Now, wasn't that simple? It's very hard to find in the stores, you know, but it is, like I said, I think that's probably why it's the most requested. So this is how you make the pappardelle pasta. You can make anything you want out of these. There's literally thousands of shapes of pasta. And I can show you how to make one more just out of this little pappardelle ribbon. So you have all that right here. I know this is my friend Lucia's favorite.
She just commented.
I knew that's her favorite. Okay, and if there's something called the farfalle, which means butterfly. So you just take these and you just pinch them in the center just like this, and you have the little farfalle. And then you just pinch them in the center.
Rhett wants to know what number for lasagna noodles.
Oh, right here. This is your lasagna noodle right here. Okay, so right now I just showed you how to make a ravioli, and yes, Red is right. If you wanted to make lasagna with this, you would make them like this big. Just cut them according to the size of the pan you want. I showed you how to make the farfalle, the pappardelle, and now I'm going to show you on the hand mixer, the hand pasta thing here, how to do, okay, let me show you this. You can do spaghetti. Do you see this right here? I might put it in the light. This is all the teeth in here for spaghetti, and this is the one for the fettuccine. So we're going to do the fettuccine today. So this just connects onto here. And now we're going to move this handle up to the fettuccine one. It's such a basic thing. I mean, it's an ingenious machine, but it's so simple. Okay, so just like with the pasta over here, we're going to put it in here. Abs, let me see if you can get a shot of it coming.
Yeah, maybe go on the other side.
Yeah, maybe we switch spots here. Okay. And this will be my kid's job. I used to say, catch the pasta, don't let it break. And then we would make so much that we would get the clothes rack and we would hang it over that and we would just let it dry while we made it all. So there you go. Look at that. You have homemade fettuccine now. So we can cook these up if you'd like. I can cook the pappardelle for you. I can cook this fettuccine if you want. And I can cook this one. So let me show you. I got my boiling pot over here already going.
Yes, Tammy, we save these lives once we're done, so they'll be on her page, I guess, forever now.
They're on there forever. Okay. I'm going to put this. I have the luxury of having a boiling pot of water, of course. So I'm going to put the fettuccine in. And you have to remember, guys, fresh pasta cooks so much faster. It's incredible. Instead of 8 to 10 to 12 minutes, it's 3 minutes. I'm even going to put this one in there. See how pretty that is? The homemade fettuccine. Goes in the pot. Okay, and then I'm also going to drop my pappardelle. And I know I don't have gloves on, so we're not going to be using this at the restaurant. This is for me and Abby's consumption for lunch. Okay, I'm going to get a plate while that's in there. And like I said, it just takes a couple seconds. So this is boiling in here already. Yeah, the water's always salted. I've been saying that with every time we make pasta, it's got to be as salty as the sea, because we only put such a smidge in here that it wouldn't have any flavoring to it. So these would go really, really good with the Alfredo sauce that we learned to make on the first day. The pappardelle goes really, really great with the bolognese sauce. And you can put just about anything. Today I have marinara in this pot already here. We're already set up for the night. I got the line going. So we always have an abundance of marinara here. But you can do a vodka sauce. Okay, these are ready. And you might say, well, how do you know they're ready? I just know from eyeballing it, but we'll take one out. And I can already feel the dense, It's done. If you don't have one of these, which a lot of people don't, that's okay. Just use a strainer or the spider, which I've been telling you guys about. So I'm going to take a little bit of the fettuccine out.
Polly wants to know if you have to cook all the pasta right away, or can you store it for later?
You can store it for later. You could probably store it in the refrigerator for a few days, and it'll be fine.
And with
This
the
doesn't have preservatives in it, so it's not going to keep like in a box on the shelf like the store stuff does. It's really fresh.
unused pasta, do you dry it or do you freeze it?
The unused dough like this, or like that over there.
Lewis just wrote the unused pasta.
I just put it in an airtight container and I put it in the refrigerator. We don't really have a lot of unused pasta, whether here or the home, because we eat it. So, but when I do have a leftover, like I have that dough over there, I would just put it in an airtight container and just put it in the refrigerator for a few days. So here we go. We're done with our pasta. Look how beautiful it looks. We have all of our fettuccine noodles here. And then we have our beautiful big pappardelle. My God, that looks so good. Turn this boiling pot off. And I'm going to put a little bit of marinara on this. I should have got Alfredo out, but and we're going to put it on there. And no pasta is complete without the Parmesan cheese.
Right behind you.
Oh, I already got it. So we're going to sprinkle that on. And you know me, I gotta have my wine. Okay. I'm going to get a nice bite of this. I'm telling you guys, you will not want to have box pasta again. It is easy, but it isn't. It's time consuming, but that really didn't take that long for us to make this.
Yeah, I had fun.
It's very velvety. If you've ever had an egg noodle, it has that type of consistency to it. But the flavor is just so much better than in the box. It's really good. And the pappardelle holds up really, really well. Like I said, it goes good with the bolognese sauce that we made. These are very long. You might want to cut it or just roll it around your fork. Delicious, guys. Pasta is so easy. It doesn't look perfect, but you know what? It's mine. And I made it myself with my own 2 hands. If you guys have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, stay well and eat well.